Here over on Subscribestar, become a shiny, fresh new member. Thanks for Vegan and Frog. And there's one other hidden member, the stealth member. So Hollywood, mainstream media, and comics are dying. And as BuzzFeed says, and that's a good thing. It's like, no, 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 no. It's not. What happened to the left wing when now you say like, oh yeah, we don't trust the media or government, just a bunch of lying, filthy parasites, and suddenly that becomes a far right wing dog whistle. Like it is so bizarre to watch the subversion of the left to me. Like they're fine with some institutions dying, but as soon as you go, oh my god, the mainstream, the propaganda machine known as the media, it's like as soon as you say that, they're kind of, you can see the look in their face like, this is someone on the right, because in their mind the mainstream media is the left wing narrative. So I look at the left and I go like, so you're raging for the machine, and like you're just saying the same narrative that CNN and Facebook is saying, and you think you're the counterculture when you're right up there with Bank of America. The thing is, it's a good thing for the mainstream media to die, because it builds a vacuum that we're able to create alt media within and do stuff with. Even Gary at Nerdrotic was talking about during his live stream today, Marxism, globalism, and I think maybe BlackRock and Larry Fink funding Hollywood. Whatever projects he wants to invest in are the projects that go ahead, which is why there's a lot of weird stuff in Hollywood, because it's subsidized probably by mutual funds. So strange days when the hippies are getting based to those issues. So and it's weird to hear. It's weird to hear people. You listen to YouTube for like several years, and you hear people slowly move to the left because they realize, oh yeah, there's really no other option. So the short, or what the best thing is when people inadvertently say super base things and they don't know the implications of what they're saying. So the short version is that everything mainstream is dying. The truth is before you right now, because every minute you spend listening to a social media video like this is a minute that you're not watching the mainstream media. That's just the brutal reality of 24 hours in a day, which Hollywood is very aware of, and they're not happy about. If they could shut down YouTube and anything that's a distraction from you turning on your TV, they would if they could find a way to do. Why alternative media is dangerous and it needs to be banned, and they like the. It's a weird world where the mainstream media is advocating for censorship of other media. Oh well, they're not the real media. They're alt media, and the mainstream media, you can trust us, but you can't trust the alt media. Why would we be able to trust you when you guys repeatedly lie to people? You get caught in your lies all the time, and the lies are always in a left wing direction. Well, okay, mistakes were made, but let's here. Look, shiny object. Look, there's some climate emergency, or there's some emergency that you need to get nervous about, and we have the solution for you. Just watch CNN. We got Trump's tax returns. It's like, oh, so that's a big nothing, but you built it up for like 3 days. Anyway, it used to be that people just had a TV on in the background, sort of just passive brainwashing probably was what it was. Now a growing amount of people have YouTube or Odyssey, Shing, Bit Chute, Cozy on, sending all the wrong thing to receptive ears to make people start activating their almonds and start paying attention to these coincidences. So those are just the brutal facts that Tim Pool, Salty C, Garrett, Nerdrotic, Russell Brand, those guys all have huge audiences, and those are just the guys I'm aware of. YouTube's got tons of live streams who are getting, hundreds of people on the live streams, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. It's a huge deal. Even on Odyssey and the other live streaming platforms, there's like Odyssey is probably the fastest growing alternative media platform right now. Hope fingers crossed they don't sell out. But and then the next thing on the horizon would be Twitter X if he gets live streaming over there. So there's a huge amount of people who never tune into the mainstream anything. I'm an example. There are a ton of people who listen to everything on a small tablet or their laptop or something. For me, there's no need. I don't even have a TV, or I don't even need cable. It's like that's absolutely not a part of life. It's only the internet connection. Now this is happening across the board from everything in the mainstream, including comics, including the awards show last night. It was I don't know, some kind of TV or movies awards show. It turns out nobody watched it, and they're very concerned about being istophobic. It's like, okay, well, we're tired of the people who are on the Epstein Island flight logs lecturing us, or people who cheered for Weinstein for 20 years. Yeah, we're not going to have you guys lecture us on istophobicism unless you're willing to admit that it goes both ways. And until that happens, it's like, why would we support you in any way? So everything across the board is down. The why of it is the more interesting point because there's a huge disconnect between the people pulling the strings and the audience. This current dissolution of the mainstream and America in general is because the adage of you can ignore the truth, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring it. Swimming with crocodiles is not on average going to work out for you. Eventually, the odds are going to play out. Put simply, we're in a stage where if you say that a man is not a woman, then insane, angry people will stalk you, on Twitter, dox you, get you fired, get the Bank of America to cancel your account because you said something, you said words that they disagree with, and in their mind, those words are violence. Words are violence. No, it's not. Violence is violence. It's the physical. Well, we're redefine. It's like good luck in clown world if you want to redefine things. So at that point you go like, oh, okay, well, we're just gonna have to admit that we have different definitions of things and go from there. That welcome to the Tower of Babel to join us in this Sodom and Gomorrah. So we don't hate gay, trans, or whatever people, but we know all this stuff is crazy. We're not istophobic if we don't want adults dancing with kids. But you got this big Hollywood collection that puts BLT stuff in everything because yikes, my guy, it's current year. BLT people exist. Touch grass. Just yikes, friendo. Yeah, we're well aware. And most of us, myself included, don't have any issues with BLT people. But we don't want to see their stories in Hollywood or comics simply because they're not our stories. Now, because most people are straight, that's just the way it be. Now, the left needs to strawman that simple statement to turn into a windmill that they can tilt against because it's not hateful enough for them. It's somewhere, it's what most reasonable people would reach, trying to accommodate somebody's different belief. It's a reasonable accommodation, but it doesn't mean we're going to take part in it. That's part of what tolerance means. It means you tolerate the stuff you can without compromising your core beliefs, but you can't compel someone to say something that is not in accord with reality. I don't hate gay people, but this doesn't satisfy them. They need us to be monsters. But you secretly do. It's like, what would lead you to believe that? Well, out of 10,000 memes you posted last year, 3 were anti-gay. Okay. But we're not. We're not these monsters. So they build this whole strawman universe in their mind. And are you going to apologize? No, never, ever apologize to SJWs. So they build this whole strawman universe in their minds that we literally, we want them removed from Earth because they want to be victims so bad. They need a place on the oppression ladder because they're bored in a first world nation. I've seen them on Twitter saying that they think white Republicans want to en masse remove them from the planet. That is a cringe straw man that only a 13-year-old could come up with. But it gets taken seriously online because they want to jump on board something, anything that gets some attention. I want to go see the man go on a romantic adventure, fight the dragon equivalent, overcome some challenges, get the girl, and live happily ever after. So I want to see the patriarchal, fashionable story. That's how the SJWs see that story in their worldview. Yeah, that makes us literally Hugo Boss to see a story based in thousands of years of human history. Most of us are tribal nationalists. We're not globalists. Hollywood is globalist. It's okay to say that you're a tribalist. Even if we're somewhat liberal libertarian within that tribal structure, we still want to see connected stories that make sense. Those are blood tribal stories. We want to see the Irish if we're going to see a story about the Irish. We don't want to see Hollywood's reimagining of the Irish, which means that they replace the Irish with non-Irish. We don't want to see that. I don't want to see an old English pub filled with everyone who wouldn't be period correct or at least even What's a fantasy? It can be anything. Okay, but I don't want to see it. Yes, were there occasional exceptions to the rule, the outlier, the pirate from strange places in for a drink? Yes, but it's the outlier. I don't want to turn on a show and have the blonde man insulted by a pox woman, like literally happened in Star Trek Discovery from a few years ago. It was literally the first episode of that thing. A pox woman has to deal with this overbearing blonde man who like flies into a comet or something, and he has to be deleted for his hubris. Rings of Power. There was 3 stupid, malicious, cruel, evil blonde boys who was in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Or Wheel of Time, I think they had a pub scene. Or even in the first Avatar, you had an evil blonde man who was slapping women around at the bar. It's like I feel like there's a theme here that you just hate men of European descent, women too. You just hate European people for some weird reason. So it's also tiresome, obviously. I am tired of seeing blonde men as the antagonists in every movie. Even that Eternals guy pointed out the anti-white hatred in Hollywood, which will get totally swept under the rug. There was another article about the anti-whiteism in Hollywood. I think I did a video on it a year ago. Behind the camera, where guys were saying like not only were they not getting hired, but because of woke Hollywood, the pay isn't as good because the stuff is not. It's spread out a lot through a lot of different streaming shows, so it's not the huge hit that it used to be. And also, just the individual return on investment is not what it used to be because the stuff's just not as good. It's not connecting with an audience. They'll do shows with like an all-female team, which I suppose the way around this is just to identify it as one. That's probably the future of Hollywood. It's like we have an all-female team. You look at a group of dudes sitting around a table. You're like, okay. I mean, that's where you are. I myself am a woman of color, so I guess I qualify. The shows are like She-Hulk. They're not doing too well because they're misandrous, anti-white nonsense. They insult their audience so that their viewership then drops off a cliff. Or what happened to Wheel of Time, Willow, Rings of Power, or any of the Star Wars streaming shows? God, Andor. They were the guys who were doing the show. They're going, yeah, we just thought the audience would be kind of built in. It's got the Star Wars name recognition on it. It turns out no, the audience was not built in for Andor Star Wars because one, it's not that good. It's all like, oh, the British are so bad, aren't they? And the worst lady is she's all in a white uniform and she has white blonde hair and she's just like out of Aryan stereotypical casting. And so she's the head bad girl, and it's just like about the British Empire as being so evil. And then it's this ragtag mixed group of found family Bolsheviks who have to fight. It's like, okay, I get it. You just don't like people of European descent. Why would I want to watch that? Like, I'm already down the rabbit hole, and it's not just me down the rabbit hole because your stuff is not selling. Or fuck any of the offerings that come out lately. It's like we get it. There's a growing group of people who are well cognizant of what's going on, and even those who aren't, who can't exactly put their finger on, it's like, oh, this shit just feels like they don't like people who look like me. It's like, what the fuck did I ever do to you? I didn't do anything to you. I'm starting to hate these people. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys all next episode.